Sure, y'all can hear me. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Getting somewhere. We getting somewhere. Yep. Let's go. Okay. Woo. Okay. Let's move on. This out the way. Sure, I ain't got no clutter. All right, y'all. Let me turn this down real quick. Make sure y'all hear my voice. We back. Let me say, mic check. Make sure y'all can hear me. Make sure y'all can hear me. Lighting good. We good. We good. I know. Well, I know what y'all probably gonna say. Fine, where you been at? Okay. Let's clear everything up. Again, this is Doc Singer Dialogue. Guarantee y'all should know me by now. All right. So let me explain everything that happened. Now, if y'all haven't noticed by now, I was having let me censor myself for YouTube purposes. I gotta wait how long you gotta wait? 3 minutes or something till you start swearing? Anyway. Yes, so okay, I can see the frame. As you can see from this amazing picture showing my face, I have a new computer. For the longest, I've been saying it that I need to get a new computer. Make sure there's no static. Thought I heard background noise. Anyway, yes, I've been trying to get a new computer for the longest. Now, I've been a little behind on the content because I couldn't do, well, I could probably still do audio, which I probably need to go back to doing now. Probably just straight audio, but I guess y'all like looking at me. I don't know. I guess you do. Maybe you don't. Maybe I need to cover my face more. I don't know. Anyway, but yes, new system startup. Everything's new. Everything is great. Setup's nice. I mean, it's actually better than before. I don't know what that whisper is. I'll figure it out later. But yes, everything is great. Everything is looking good. I would ask how y'all's week been, but I don't know. I'm so past that right now, but no worries. As far as me, man, like I said, let me. I mean, y'all I probably told y'all that Rice University was let me turn this on. Rice University was able. They hired me to do a something for them, like a training video or something for them. They pretty much hired me. My clapper stuff is acting funny right now. Just bear with me. But yes, when it starts to work. But yes, basically, Rice University hired me, so I'm getting ready for that. The movie that I've been telling you guys that I was going to be in, that's getting set up as well. And I have been on my writing as well. I've been just practicing doing short stories, trying to go every day just to come up with some stuff, just to get the groove of it and then come back to it. Just to get a feel of it. It's a slow burn sometimes for me. That's always been my thing. It's been the type of music I like. I like things to just slowly get a feel. I don't like everything rushed. Speaking of slow burns, now there is this, this is the one thing I don't know how I'm gonna be able to navigate putting content on here without being banned or what's called striked or something. But I'll just have to send a screenshot or something. But basically, I'll send y'all just the article. I'll read the article. So I think it was a few days ago that there was a 25-year-old Air Force airman. Yes, not really soldier, but airman, Aaron Bushnell, committed self-immolation, which is basically setting yourself on fire, as a response to the genocide going on in Palestine, right? Now, number one, I didn't even know that shit was still going on. That's number one. I know that sounds heartless. But number two, uh, it's kind of I never did understand that as a way to send a message. You know, I mean, basically offering yourself just to get your point across is kind of like, I mean, I guess, I mean, people see in movies and, TV shows when they have like that one guy that just basically like kind of, in a way, metaphorically shows themselves when they have nothing to lose and just go guns blazing. You got that type of, whatever. I guess it's like a sacrifice or a protest or whatever you want to call it. In a way, kind of self-sacrifice himself for the greater good of Palestine, I guess, because of the genocide. And number three, I noticed that every time I keep sending this, that it's considered, violent content, or it's like self-harm or something. It's like some stuff they keep doing. But I think a lot of these platforms, and I know I'm going to get a lot of crap for it, but it's like, it's it's very un-American, is what I'm realizing. I'm noticing that the way this country is set up, right? And I'll get into another story that pretty much proves my point, but everything that we based our foundation on is almost like frowned upon now. Like, we love watching violence movies, gangster movies, war movies. We love committing acts of violence. We love watching violence. We like even thinking violence sometimes. But we hate it's kind of like it's no fun when the rabbit has the gun type of thing. We hate when other countries or other, societies that's not in the West or even in the West reciprocates what we do. And I think that's un-American because that's basically what this country is founded on, in a sense, if you really think about it. The first people that came here, because they ran away because they didn't want to deal with the bullshit of their government, their religion, their politics, and went over, almost knocked this light down, and went over to an already inhabited land filled with copper colored people and took all their stuff, poisoned their food, gave them diseases, and somehow they indoctrinated themselves in becoming Americans, which is odd considering the fact that there's people already there. But not to get too long-winded, the title of this episode, simply just put, uh, is America a walking contradiction? I mean, like I mentioned before, think about the founding fathers, the people preaching freedom, but they enslaved and kept people of a certain complexion of skin color in chains, in captivity, but left seeking freedom. I think that's like the biggest joke of like their whole purpose of like even coming here. Everything is always, it's always an exception to the rule, right? Now, people want to talk about, certain things, how to protest, what the protest's about. Because like I mentioned before in my episode, I don't know if y'all listen too deeply, but I've said like how, because people don't pay attention and read no more, they tend to make up their own definitions on certain things. And when it comes to protests, I think they do exactly that. They do that with defining racism. They do that with gender and sex, and they do it with protests and freedom of speech. But what is a protest? So it says it's a statement or action expressing disapproval of or objection to something. It also says In law, a written declaration, typically by a notary public, then a bill has been presented and payment or acceptance refused. Then, as a verb, it says express an objection to what someone has said or done. Declare in the face of a stated or implied doubt or in response to an accusation. So let's just go with the first one. I think the now deceased Aaron, let me make sure his name right. Aaron Bushnell, let me make sure it's all right. I think if we're going from an American perspective, if that's what he wanted to do, that's how he wanted his legacy to be, to wear, I don't know, camouflage and the beaming sun and pretty much yell to the top of his lungs till his body collapsed and his body turned charcoal briquette. Hey, who are we to judge that? Because I'm pretty sure our forefathers and our ancestors of the past was probably doing even crazier stuff than that. They're finding different kind of ways as protests. But whose right is it to say what we can protest about? You know, in as an American, you have a right. You have a right to say what you want to protest about, as long as you don't necessarily harm someone else, or in this case, harm yourself. I mean, like I said, I guess if his heart was in the right place, why not let it be in the right place? Everybody has a right to protest and stand for what they believe in. That's what we pledged of allegiance to, in a sense. I still think Pledge of Allegiance was very weird. I'm still shocked that we still do that. But I don't think what he did was too far-fetched, because I've seen people do protests for the silliest things that doesn't even make sense in the slightest. But I mean, if he wanted to do that, how come? Which is what I don't understand. Like I said, especially with the new, I guess, civil rights activists that find anything to complain about just so they can waste people's time. Like I think that they had like this one video of this in New York when I forget what the protest was, but he was like frustrated and they were like blocking the they were blocking the driveway. I think it might have been about Palestine. Now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, it might have been about Palestine. Remember what I said, as long as you're not bothering anybody else, like, come on, you're disrupting somebody from going to work and feeding their family. That's what I mean about when protests go too far. And when you're ruining someone else's lives, or you're ruining what they got going on for your cause or your statement. That's when a protest, it kind of does a one, is it 180 or 360? You know what I'm trying to say. Basically, you kind of boomerang back to like, yeah, what you're doing is kind of silly. But, speaking as an American-born person, regardless of what people might think, oh, whatever, as an American-born person, I believe that in a crazy way, his heart was in the right place. Why wouldn't a person have the right to stand for what they believe in? Right? That's what the country was based on, freedom of speech. Speaking of that, I remember one of my I think it might have been my first episode. I talked about, is freedom of speech dead? That was one of my first things that I said. And I talked about how, the fact that, you can't say anything without getting ridiculed for it. Or, people try to slander you because you speak out about stuff that they're afraid to say. But then I thought about, the whole Bill of Rights in general. Now, what are the Bill of Rights? Now, for those historians, if you remember learning about the Constitution, you remember the first 10 statements. Those are called the Bill of Rights. Those first 10 amendments. And it goes like this. Now, everybody knows freedom of speech, number one. Everybody knows the right to bear arms. Second, everybody knows that. Give me 1 second. Now, the Third Amendment is restriction on the quartering of soldiers in private homes without the owner's consent. Translation, cops, if they want to come in and do whatever, as Americans, we have the right to not let their asses in unless they want a bullet. Nowadays, they just come in and do whatever. Like they're above, the House of Representatives in the Senate and all that. Like I said, people don't even play by their own rules. They try to change the rules to fit their own narrative. Yeah, so it's forbidding the practice in peacetime. The amendments are responsible for the quartering acts passed by the Parliament of the Great Britain during the build-up to the Revolutionary War, which allowed the British Army to lodge soldiers in public buildings. So yes, any sort of government official or people that work for the government, police, FBI, whoever, we have the right to not let them in our dwelling. Now, all of a sudden, all that's changed. So it's almost like, what's the point of having them if it's almost like you take a movie like The Purge and Red Dawn and you think of what's the point of having rules if it's just going to be constantly broken and, tampered with, and people kind of play along with it just to fit their narrative and fit what they got going on. It's almost pointless to have. But I always like the third one. Now, let's go to, I wish I had a list of this instead of going about. Okay, there we go. Fourth Amendment protects against unreasonable search and seizure. Again, I think this is applied to, not only law, cops and all that, trying to search whatever in your house, car, or whatever dwelling. I think it's applied to people that, messes with your social security or messes with, your financial information, personal information, your mail. There used to be a time where, you look through somebody's mail, that's in some places they probably cut off your hand or cut off your head. But now it's anybody could just do whatever. I mean, people on ring cameras getting caught looking through people's packages and they ain't getting no repercussions for it. So it's almost what's the purpose of these rights? And it's very frustrating because it's the stuff that we learn in school is just being, flipped on our heads. It's we don't even need it, just like most of the stuff we learn in school. Fifth Amendment protects against self-testimony, being tried twice for the same crime, and the seizure of property on the eminent domain. Hence the phrase, plead the fifth, meaning if you don't want to say anything that might involuntarily incriminate you, you have a right to not say a goddamn thing. But nowadays, if you don't say anything, you'll get in trouble for that. Because then they'll try to say, what's the goddamn word? Is it perjury? Is it perjury? I think it's perjury. Yes. They'll accuse you for some, lying under oath. They'll accuse you of doing some stuff like that. Even when you're accused of the wrong crimes, if you fight your innocence, you get penalized for that. So it's especially, again, if you're a certain pigmentation, you're really screwed. Let's continue. Number 6, right to a speedy trial by jury, and to the service of a lawyer. So yes, you get that. I do agree that that's still in function, that, there's some judicial systems allow you to, take someone to court or have a lawyer right by your side. But nowadays you can't even trust a lawyer. You can't even trust the judge. because they might be working together, trying to keep up a quota. So it's like a backward system. 7, guaranteed trial by jury in case involving a certain dollar amount. Kind of goes back to the 6. Can work both ways. You could benefit you financially, or it could benefit them. 8th Amendment prohibits excessive bail or fines and cruel and unusual punishment for crimes. But I'm skipping over. While that maybe sound good on paper, this is what I don't understand about this. The Bill of Rights, it almost kind of reminds me of like all these religious books. It's like I'm reading what this says, but then you like flip the next page or the next sentence. It's literally contradicting what the other thing said. Like there was one scripture I remember skimming over where we were saying like, obey your parents, blah blah, that shit, right? Obey your mother and father. But if you look, this is you can find it. I don't know what it's on, but I'm telling you, I remember it verbatim. It says either parents or fathers. Y'all hear me talk about it all the time. Parents or fathers, do not provoke your children to anger. That's a real scripture. Do not provoke your children to anger, yet they become discouraged. What does that mean? Don't constantly piss your kid off over every little inconvenience because they, start to resent you. They start to feel like they're not worth anything. Same thing applies with that. 8th Amendment, let me flip back to it before I forget. What does it say? Prohibits excessive bail or fines and cruel and unusual punishment for crimes. But if you fast forward, the 13th Amendment says, there's no slavery, there's no, captivity, whatever the word is, unless it's for, paying death to cruel and unusual punishment. So it's okay if they're in jail. So they flip it on you. 9th Amendment, listing of rights does not mean the other rights are. Hold on. Listing of rights does not mean that other rights are not in effect. Now that's a tricky one. Hold on. Let me see. 9th Amendment. That is. Now I'm acting like I have to read it again. Let me see. Let's see. Addresses rights retained by the people that are not specifically enumerated in the Constitution. That's that's a contradict as well. Basically saying you don't have damn, that's kind of a tricky one too, because it's basically contradicting the whole point of the Bill of Rights is like, you can list the rights, but it doesn't mean they're going to be effective. Yes, that's exactly what it was. That's basically what I got from that. See, you see how they flip it on you? And let me I'll just read the last one, just so I can get through. See, 10th Amendment power not granted to the federal government is reserved for states or individual people. Yeah, again, another thing that sounds good up here. Yeah, we are responsible. We're pretty much paid the cops, lawyers, we pay their salaries, but at the same time, if you figure out a crooked system, you first start off one toe on the dark side, then you get a foot in, then you get a leg in, an ankle in, then you get a kneecap in, then you get an arm in, a leg in, whatever, then you become corrupt. So you can tamper it whatever you please. So it's always somebody that's gonna try to play the system. So just to sum it up, the Bill of Rights is kind of shitty. I'll say that. I also saw something else as well. Let me get into this one more thing, then let me get into final thoughts. I saw this one video, right? I think it was like in where is that? It was somewhere in San Diego. I think it was in San Diego. I gotta find that. Yeah, I got that. Someone sent that to me. It was in San Diego. Where is it at? Let me see. But basically, it was basically, I'll be honest, some immigrants coming from San Diego. There was like on the edge, they recorded it. And they're pretty much like trying to infiltrate the country. Basically, they had a car and everything. The car knew when they was gonna pull up, and they just took a stroll and just went on their merry way. And then it had me thinking, right? That's because I've seen a lot of people, kind of saying like, we can't harbor criminals here. Like basically say America's like a haven for criminals and illegal immigration. But I've said this too, and I remember I said this in college too, and it goes back to what I said before. Um, the founding fathers didn't have papers or any documents or green cards or any sort of legal representation that they didn't have necessarily a clean bill of health to enter into another country per se. But we don't call that illegal immigration. We just say, oh, they settled here. They discovered. We like using those type of words for those. I remember when I said that in the college when they were talking about like illegal immigration. And I'm not saying that what they were mentioning about, of course, as long as no children are hurt, then I have no problem with it. Wait, as long, as long as no children are hurt, then it's just like, just like any other person that's trying to come and they're just trying to get a slice of pie. But when the kids are hurt, that's when it's a red flag. But if not, just it's no church in the wild. I mean, I don't. Again, it makes no sense because that's what America was based upon, right? We love these westerns and these mafia movies that pretty much show them pretty much extorting people, robbing, killing, drug trafficking, all this stuff. That's cool when we see it on movies, but y'all know that did happen in real life. That may not be real life per se, but it did happen. Those are people that's out there that's like that. But not to get a trap. Is illegal immigration an oxymoron? I mean, the way people frame it, it almost seems like it is because people pick and choose on what they consider illegal. People try to pick and choose what they consider illegal. And I'm not in that boat of like choosing what's illegal or not. I decide on like if it's their way of like how they want to survive, I'll go with that. But like I said, as long as children are not hurt, who am I to judge? That's all I can say. Who am I to judge? Because you can't judge. We love, like I said, we love these movies that's so violent. We love these rappers that talk about, all these violent stuff. We like that. It gets us high. It gives us an energy boost. But when it's the other way around, oh, we gotta block our borders. We gotta do this. I mean, it's like we always say we're becoming a haven for criminals. Yeah, some of the people in government are the biggest criminals. You think the mafia just disappeared out of nowhere? You don't think they're not still around somewhere? I know they say that they're dead and the mafia is dead. I know they say that, but with light, there has to be dark. You got the people that, make money the right way, by doing good. But in order for the universe to balance out, you got to have that dark. But what do I know? Let me know what y'all think. That's all it is. I know I need to start putting more stuff on here. I've been, like I said, new computer, so I have no excuses. Plus, I need this to work too. But yes, let me know what y'all think. And again, do y'all think America's an oxymoron by the way they move, the way they kind of handle certain stuff? Let me know. But other than that, thank y'all for still sticking with me. For those that stay with me, constantly check on my videos, listen to audio, podcast, whatever. But appreciate y'all tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, share, whatever. Y'all know where I'm at. IG, Twitter. Twitter is X. X is Twitter. I don't like calling it X. But wherever it's at, y'all follow me there. But appreciate it. And until next time, I'm gone. Peace.